Welcome to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. Adam Freeman here on what is Thursday, August the 20th, 2020. Paul Brees is in Brentwood, Tennessee. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia here, and about to finish up the first week of virtual learning as Brees is headed into finishing up week 2. Actually, you're done for the week. You got some sort of little Friday thing that y'all do?
Yeah, we do a Friday asynchronous learning.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, how about that? Fancy word.
Buzzword.
Buzzword.
You just called it buzzword. Well, you guys do yours on Friday. Ours is asynchronous on Wednesday. We have the asynchronous Wednesday. So here's my take on that. All right, so you're telling me if we can do this, you're telling me we couldn't structure it somehow to even if we come back face to face to go 4 days a week?
Absolutely, we could.
I mean, what's the excuse they always give when people talk about that, doing that?
Parents needing to work.
Okay, and they talk about, the kids don't get enough seat time. You heard that phrase before? Seat time, okay? I think we approved right now that the last thing these kids need is seat time.
Yeah.
I mean, their whole lives have been seat time, okay? So, you can't convince me. I mean, you can't convince me that just keeping them in a class 89 minutes is any different. They're getting any more or less than I'm giving them in 70 minutes. I can guarantee you I can give them just as much information in 70 minutes that I can in 89. Because think about this now, that 89 minutes, they're in a classroom, 35 kids talking, chirping, not paying attention. Now, they may not be paying attention online either, but at least I'm locked into their face and I can call them out and say, hey, I can't see your face. You know the rules, blah, blah, blah. And there's nobody talking. They can't hear any noise. They only hear me telling them what they need to know. That cuts down on a lot of time. So, I don't know. That's just my take on it.
Yeah. It's out of our pay grade, though.
It's way, way beyond our pay grade. That's for sure. So lots of stories to talk about. Something, so we're going to talk about some things that just broke right at the end of our show last night. First thing we're gonna mention is something that just took place, the draft lottery, and my hometown Atlanta Hawks had a 12.5% chance of getting the overall number 1 pick. And of course, they did what the Atlanta Hawks would do, and they end up with the 6th pick.
Who was the Hawks representative?
They didn't even have one.
Really?
They did, but I don't even know who. It was some lady. I don't even know who it was. It was some fan. Probably won some drawing. I'm serious. It was some lady that had a shirt that said "Forever" in Hawks, in that funky Hawks lime green yellow color. That's stupid.
Yeah.
They will never be any good unless they go back to the red and yellow of Dominique Wilkins. I can tell you that right now. So just because they play 25 miles from my house does not make me a Hawks fan. But in typical Hawks fashion, they get the 6th pick after winning 26 games and putting themselves in a position to get the lottery. They don't get it. They'll end up with a swingman, 6'7" guy, probably like an Obi Toppin or somebody like that, to add to their stable of guys that are 6'7", 6'8", that just like to shoot threes because that's all they do.
Well, who's the Hawks point guard right now?
Oh, it's Trae Young.
He's the legit point guard.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he feel more comfortable like standing in the corner, getting ready to?
I think he just feels more comfortable with the ball in his hands. Period.
Gotcha.
I mean, he's you build around him, and they got the guy from Virginia last year, the forward. They're just so young. They need to get some pieces. Once they won 60 games, they dumped all that salary and dumped all their veteran guys because they would not pay him. I don't want to say they couldn't afford to pay him; they just would not pay him. So the logo behind you, Minnesota Timberwolves, whose representative was D'Angelo Russell, gets the number 1 overall pick. So now you got D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns to pair with this number 1 pick overall. Who do you think they should take?
Who do I think they should take? Well, that's a great question. I mean, I would think Obi Toppin maybe. I mean, Anthony Edwards, do they trade down? I mean, there's really not a clear cut. We got to have this guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think there's probably 3 dudes that could go number 1. James Wiseman is one. I think probably Anthony Edwards is another one. And they're talking LaMelo Ball. I mean, he's already played 1 year pro, but I don't buy that. That's not NBA. He's not playing against NBA guys. That's why they're playing in Australia. You know, he's playing against guys like the guy that went to Kentucky and was Australian and ended up playing down there.
Yeah.
So don't tell me that he's NBA ready coming off playing over there in Lithuania and then going to Australia.
Well, I mean, the T-Wolves don't need a point guard, right?
No, absolutely not. No, they got Russell. So here's another thing. So the T-Wolves get the number 1 pick, right? And I just tweeted this out. So Michelle Tafoya goes to interview, D'Angelo Russell and ask him a few questions. She's like, "Wow, it must feel great. You've only been there a few months, with the trade and already you're bringing them good luck, whatever." There's a pause. You hear D'Angelo Russell's parakeet in the background, just going crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, dude. You're on ESPN. You just got the number 1 pick, and you got your parakeet chirping in the background. Shut that bird up. So anyway, we'll have to see what they do. I think they go Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards is a great pick. He's a dynamic, athletic. He's got great range, and he can shoot outside and he can drive to the basket. I think he would be a great first pick for them because you don't need if you're Minnesota, you don't need Wiseman. You got Towns. Okay, so I think that's the direction that you go. All right, and gets us to our next topic here, which is disturbing. And this is the story that broke last night as we were ending our show, right after we ended our show. And it is the former, or excuse me, not even former, but is the Reds play-by-play announcer, Tom Brennaman, who works for Fox Sports Ohio. His homophobic slur that was caught on an open mic in between a commercial break. And Fox Sports has suspended him, not fired him. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are this. It's obviously based upon the apology that Brennaman was giving during the broadcast. He was fighting for his job and his career in that broadcast.
No doubt, yeah.
And, it was definitely unfortunate, but I think Brennaman knows that they probably have to go through a little process, but I do not see him surviving, unfortunately. He may be one of these things where he has to take a couple years off and, maybe get back into it. But, definitely something that, he definitely recognized there was a problem.
He's going to be calling East Cobb baseball over in Marietta for the next 5 years. Okay, and that's if he's lucky, because that's a pretty high end league over there.
Right.
He's done and should be done. I mean, you just can't You just can't do that. And that's for a guy who's been in broadcasting as long as he's been in broadcasting. I just cannot. I can't believe that.
It was a real life Jim. What's the broadcaster's name? The Netflix show, Jim.
Jim Brockmeyer. It was
Joe Brockmeyer.
He pulled a Brockmeyer.
It was a true life Joe Brockmeyer situation
Wow.
where he was sincerely fighting tears back for his life, for his career life, and still making a call as this game is going on.
And that fly ball is going to be over the fence. Castellanos with a home run, make it 4-0. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, he was getting his apology was even getting criticized, which I don't know. I thought it was pretty genuine because he was fighting for his job on the air already, and he's going to have to issue another one, or multiple ones, I'm sure. But anyway, just an unfortunate event there, and it was all of his own doing. All of his own doing. So, and the Lakers still can't hit a 3-pointer.
Go Blazers.
In other news. All right. So that gets us to our next topic, which I got some inside scoop. As you can see behind me, I'm displaying the new flagship logo of the Franklin High School Admirals. All right. Which I got to say, I love the seal. I like the over my shoulder here. I like the seal, the anchor. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a Vandy thing, which I hope that doesn't bring them any sort of bad luck, or I hope they can still win a football game with that seal. But the actual logo leaves a lot of interesting possibilities when it comes to merchandising. I mean, you've got the skull, you've got, the shoulder tassels and the hat and all that stuff. What do you think is going to be the helmet logo for these new Franklin Admirals?
Well, here's the deal.
That's why I call you. I want the deal.
The deal is this: Franklin High School does not have a logo on their helmet.
Just numbers, correct?
I mean, there's nothing. It's just maroon.
It's just red?
I believe so. Correct me if I'm wrong. If not, but for some reason, I'm 80% sure it's Penn State-esque.
They didn't even go with the Alabama where they put the number on there.
No.
Wow. That's kind of Remember the Titans old school.
Yeah.
Well, this is a real opportunity for them.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, definitely could add something for sure.
Oh, to generate some buzz. I mean, Here's what I see. I see it looking like they'll take a page from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But they're going to have to be careful when it comes to trademarking it, because that dude right there behind me looks like the Buccaneer.
Yeah, and here's the thing. In Tennessee, there are already a FHS Admirals team in the state of Tennessee, Farragut High School. So, I guess I don't know how we'll differentiate but
I mean,
obviously you're gonna copy, right? There are more than one Eagles,
right?
But
Tigers.
Just very interesting to know that there is 2 FHS Admirals schools out there now.
Hey, but guess what? There's only 2 Hoyas, pal, and that's all there's ever going to be. Georgetown Hoyas, Harrison Hoyas. It'll never happen again.
Are they copyrighted?
Yes, and we had to ask permission from Georgetown University to be able to use it.
Wow.
And they granted us an exception, but they're like, you're the only – we will allow you to use it, but no one else can use it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So back, of course, our school opened in 91, which was back when Georgetown, Allen Iverson, they were really popular. So it came down to the Harrison Hoyas or the Harrison Hurricanes. The Miami Hurricanes were really popular. And they did what Franklin did. They let the students vote, and they voted for Hoyas. So here we are. the Harrison Hoyas. 30 years later, this is our 30th year. All right, and my 24th, and I'm 4 days into my 24th year, and it's wow. Need some kids in my classroom. That's all I can say.
Gotcha.
All right, that gets us to our next topic. The Bills' New Era Stadium, okay, is no longer New Era Stadium. All right, so it is up for grabs, literally. And your boy Dave Portnoy has basically voiced an interest in getting the naming rights to the stadium of the Buffalo Bills. I mean, he's from New York, and Buffalo's in upstate New York. So I know you're a huge fan of this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Would it be Barstool Sports Stadium? I mean, is that what he's go a different direction?
I mean, currently that's the route that they're going. And listen, Portnoy has two objectives in this. Obviously, one, the business side, but on the second side, he wants to stick it to Roger Goodell.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Oh yeah. Yeah. I can see that. And for that, I'm for it just for that reason.
Just the entertainment value.
I'm in it for the entertainment value. I'm all in. I
love it.
Go Fighting Portnoy. That's what I say. So hopefully that will pan out. But as of right now, it is just Bills Stadium. So
that's right.
Bills couldn't be more vanilla anyway. Now their stadium is Bills Stadium. Okay.
Blue collar is you can
we are blue collar. We love it. That's who we are. And sticking with the stadium names, how many names have the Titan Stadium had? It's been stadium at first, right? Or was it was?
Well, the current stadium's name is
some telecom company, right?
Adelphia Coliseum, I think, was the first.
That was it, Adelphia. Okay.
Let's see. It's currently Nissan. LP Field was one.
Okay, LP Field.
Let's see. It was. So Adelphia started it, right, and then they left. They broke the lease, and then the city took it over and named it just the Coliseum.
Okay.
And then LP Field for the last. That went for about 9 years. And then is now Nissan Stadium, right?
Nissan. Okay, yeah, Nissan Stadium. Okay. Which is not bad. I mean, considering you still have the manufacturing plant down there in Columbia or Spring Hill.
Spring Hill, yeah.
Okay, so it makes sense. All right, so quickly we're rolling through this quickly. We're trying to get things through quickly, so it makes for a quick listen on our episode tonight. So our human interest story of the evening is your go-to or your favorite concession stand foods. I don't care what sporting event you're at, soccer game, football game, basketball game, wrestling tournament. Okay, you probably have, because let's be honest now, the foods are different at each event. Each booster club kind of has their own thing. I know ours do. Was that true at Brentwood High School?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Like you go to a football game, you got this menu. You go to, baseball and wrestling tournaments, going to be different things. At wrestling tournaments, it's generally, hey, base, the bare bones, pretty much. For us, it's like, okay, we've got some Cokes and we got popcorn, and we're going to order 300 pizzas or 15, 20 pizzas, and we'll sell them by the slice. They don't put a lot into feeding the fans at a wrestling tournament. I don't know about you guys.
Correct. Obviously the grill's going off at the football games, and
oh yeah.
A big seller for us in the middle school level that we've had success with is Chick-fil-A sandwiches.
Okay. Yeah, we do that as well at football games.
I mean, it's a guaranteed. We run out immediately.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everybody loves those, and you can sell them for $4 and people will pay it.
Right.
So you can.
We sell them for $5.
Oh really? You
Yeah.
guys, man, you got a little racket going on up there. What? Tell you what. Well, anyway, so what would be your go-to concession stand food?
Now we're talking about like a high school setting, right? Or
High school setting. High school setting.
yeah, obviously in a professional setting, I would head straight to the soft serve ice cream wherever it was. High school setting, obviously the grilled burger is key because usually they have the condiments laying out. Obviously that was pre-COVID, and you just could make a good grilled burger just into an amazing burger with all the condiments you could pile on for free of charge. And I'm a big
Yes.
free of charge guy, FOC.
Yes.
And if that was not the case, I good with a bag of peanut M&Ms and a bottle of Coke.
All right. So you're really just snacking. You're not necessarily a meal guy, other than the hamburger.
Right.
Okay. So you're just trying to bridge the gap between the start of the game and the end of the game, where you can go actually get a real meal.
Correct.
Okay. I come at it from a little bit different direction, because as an athletic trainer, if I'm down there, especially in the spring, not so much in the fall, because football is, you have your pregame meal at like 4 or 4:30, and then I would usually get Mexican food on the way home. So I go about 7 hours there without eating, but that's okay. I could do that if I knew my Mexican food was waiting for me. So let's say I'm in the spring and I've got a baseball game and I got 2 soccer games and they start at 5:30. So I'll be down there at like 4:45 milling around. So that's my meal. Like I've got to eat. I will have eaten at like 12:30. So I'm hungry like right before game time. So for me, it was our soccer program. There, when they run the concession stand, they do it's called Frito pie. And all it is a bag of Fritos that they pour in a bowl, and they got chili and cheese, and they pour over top of it. And I could eat as much of it as I wanted for free.
Wow.
So I'd get one before the JV game, then I'd get one before the varsity game. So I knew every soccer mom, every soccer dad, everybody's little brother and sister that worked in the concession stand by the time the season was over. And one thing, because every so often, every year or so or 2 years, the booster club changes. So first part of the season, you got to go up there and say, hey, look, I'm Coach Freeman. I'm the athletic trainer. I'm here. Just want to make you aware everything's gratis for me, okay? I don't pay for anything, all right? I'm here until 10 o'clock every night. I'm eating for free. And so most of the time, and just about every time, nobody had an issue. In fact, I got so much free food that there were some times when I was just like, I feel like I need to buy something, just because.
Yeah.
I'd eat a Frito pie at soccer, then I'd walk over to the baseball game and get a free hamburger and a Coke or a Gatorade. Then I'd come back, get my second Frito pie and some peanut M&Ms. And it was, my dietary habits back in those days were not great. But that was my go-to. That's my go-to. Frito pie from the Harrison Soccer Booster Club concession stand. That's what I would go with. If I had to pick any dish from a concession stand, that's what I would get. So I'm not complicated. I'm a simple guy. So for you, peanut M&Ms and a Coke. Me, I'm happy with a bowl of Frito pie. That's all I need. So, well, guys, that was a quick episode. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul, and subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul, and on Spotify and Google Podcasts and iHeart. Tomorrow night, Brees, we're going to hit them with some Facebook Live if we can. I don't know if we're going to be able to.
Friday night football, man. I'm back
That's
at it.
right. You got Friday Night Football. All right, man. Well, we'll see you guys. Have another episode on Monday evening, and Brees will recap his Summit versus Centennial Independence football game.
Yeah.
I think football in Tennessee, senior night as it is. So we'll talk about that and see how that goes. We're still 2 weeks out. So for Paul Brees, I'm Adam Freeman. You've been listening to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul.